Hello and welcome to the second lesson in the producing new cells topic, and this is the last one as well, and it's all about something called stem cells. So today we're going to have a look at what stem cells are and explain the difference between them and the other cells in our bodies, and look at the differences between two types of stem cells, which are called embryonic and tissue or adult stem cells. A couple of questions just to get you started, so feel free to have a look at these 4 questions. Pause the video, give them a go, and when you're ready, hit play and we'll see what the answers are. So number 1, you're to name the haploid cells in the diagram below. So the haploid cells are the egg and sperm. These have only got the 23 chromosomes, one set of chromosomes, which makes them haploid. Number 2, you have to name the diploid cell. So the diploid cell here is the zygote, which has the 2 sets of 23, giving us 46 chromosomes. The embryo as well, also the cells in this would be considered to be diploid as well, but there's lots of them. This is the only single cell here that we can see and name. Number 3, at which stage A, B, or C does mitosis and cell division take place? That would be C. This is where we've gone from having one cell to lots of cells, so a lot of cell division taking place there. And finally, what was special about the zygote? Well, the zygote is the first cell that every cell in this embryo is going to come from. However, it's completely unspecialized. It doesn't have any jobs yet. This is in fact a stem cell. I'm going to learn a wee bit more about them today. So your body is made up of around 37.2 trillion cells and about 220 different types of specialized cells. And specialized means that they're adapted to do a particular job. So if we have a look at this picture up here, we can see lots of different cell types there. So we've got things like epithelial cells, which are skin cells, types of white blood cells, liver cell, fat cell, cartilage, bone, different types of nerve cell, different types of muscle cell. So these are specialized cells, and they do not look anything like this zygote, which they would all have come from. So we started out as a zygote, just one cell, and we became an embryo, and we're continuing to grow and develop. And we have around 220 different types of specialized cell. So the question is, how did we end up with lots of different cells in our bodies if that is how they started? That's what they came from. So remember from the last lesson, we know that this zygote must divide by mitosis. It makes lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of copies of itself, but eventually we get to the point where these cells must start to become specialized and take on different jobs. So stem cells are quite special cells. They can do a couple of different things. So one thing they can do is they can just divide by mitosis to make more and more of themselves, more stem cells. And we need that to be able to happen for growth and repair. So there's obviously a lot of that going on, not just as we go from the zygote to the embryo, but beyond that, from embryo to baby to child to adult, lots and lots of cell division for growth and repair. These stem cells are all unspecialized, but the second thing that these stem cells can do is they can become specialized to produce different cells. Now, there are actually 2 different types of stem cell. We've got embryonic stem cells, and then we've got adult or tissue stem cells. Now, the embryonic ones have the potential to become any type of cell in the human body, and that's really, really important. So they are completely unspecialized. But the adult stem cells or tissue stem cells are slightly different. So this, we can see here, these embryonic stem cells, lots and lots, we're going through that early stage, all that cell division. These embryonic stem cells have to have that ability to become any human cell type. So that we can grow and develop, and so that the organism, or so that the baby that's born has got all the parts that it needs to be able to function and survive. But adults don't have any of these embryonic stem cells left. We lose them as we grow up. But we are left with some adult tissue stem cells, which are located around the body. Now, these are important for continued growth and, most importantly, for repair. But they cannot become any cell type. They can become a limited range of cell types. So, for example, the tissue stem cells that we have in the heart can only become things like cardiac muscle cells or connective tissue cells, so that they can become the cells that we need for the heart to be able to look after itself and repair itself. The adult tissue stem cells that we find in the bone marrow can only become a limited range of cell types, and it's blood cell types. So things like our red blood cells, the different types of white blood cells, they can come from this. But these tissue stem cells in bone marrow would not be able to produce something like skin or liver cells, because it's got nothing to do with this area of the body. So that's the main difference between these types of stem cells, is that embryonic stem cells can become any human cell type, but the adult tissue stem cells can only become a smaller range of types of cell, the ones that are key to the functioning of the area where these tissue stem cells are found. Plants and animals consist of different types of cell that work together. So this specialization of cells leads to a variety of different cells, tissues, and organs. So we can sometimes call this the hierarchy of cells. And it's the idea that if we zoom in and look at individual cells, specific cell types in our body, these specific cells form tissues, which are groups of those cells working together. Different tissues can form together to make something more complicated, like an organ. Okay, and if we think of, for example, the heart has more than just muscle tissue in it. There's also nerves, there's also connective tissue. So there's different things there, different types of specialized cells that work together to make the full organ. And then those organs can form something more complicated, like a system. So the cardiovascular system, that has got the heart, it's got the blood vessels, it has got the different blood cells that are in the blood. So that is now an organ system. It consists of more than just the one organ. And then these systems group together to form the whole organism. And that's not just in animals, it's in plants as well. So we can see that here. So here is the basic cell. So if we look at the plant, these cells here are called mesophyll cells. They form a tissue called the spongy mesophyll. That tissue is part of a bigger organ, which is the leaf. The leaf then works as part of an organ system. So that's all the leaves working together to carry out photosynthesis to produce food for the plant. And then that system joins up to other systems to produce the whole organism. Same idea down here, we can see that in the animal and the human. So this is actually a small intestine cell, which forms a tissue, which is the villi, which is part of our small intestine, which forms the organ, the small intestine, which is part of a larger system, the digestive system, and then all the other systems join together to form the human, the organism. And that is it. So, hopefully that gives you a bit of background on stem cells. You need to know that they are unspecialized, that they can self-renew, and that they can become specialized to become the different systems and whatnot that we need in the organism for it to be able to survive. So you should now be able to complete all of the notes for the Producing New Cells booklet. In the first video, which was a bit longer, we looked at mitosis, and in this video we've looked at stem cells. So you should be able to answer all the questions in those notes. You should also now be able to complete all of the past paper questions that's in that booklet, and then have a look at the success criteria and do a little bit of traffic lighting. If any of it does not make sense, just get in touch with your teacher, ask any questions that you need, and we'll try and explain it again for you. And then the last thing is you should also now be able to do the revision mind map for this topic. So it's not a huge topic, this, we've covered it all in 1 week, but do take the time to have a good read through it. The bit on mitosis can sometimes be a little bit confusing, so definitely ask for help for that if you're unsure. All right,